Barstool Banter. I'm your host, Pete Judy, along with Steve from Steve-O's Music Madness. Today, we're going to be talking to David Reece, a long pedigree of music that extends from solo stuff to Accept, Bangalore Choir.
Sinners.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Quite a bit stuff. So, barflies, if you will, grab your beer, pop your top, and belly up to the bar for the next episode of the Barstool Banter.
There you go.
All right, Dave. How are you doing, bud?
Doing fine. Greetings from Italy. Ciao.
From Italy. Yeah.
Italy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
wow. How do you like living in Italy?
I love it. I've been here since December 2014. Beautiful wife, beautiful family. I'm in school right now learning the Italian language.
Mm-hmm.
I go 2 days a week. I do a lot of shows in Europe, so it's kind of central from Milan. It's pretty easy to get around,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a little village about an hour and a half south of Milan.
Oh, really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Is it cheaper to live in Italy than the States?
No.
No.
I'm gonna play. Absolutely not. It's it may sound romantic, but it's just like anywhere else, brothers. It's everywhere around the world we're paying more and more and getting less and less.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we want to appreciate for your time today. And see, you're saying you're in Italy, but you're originally from Oklahoma. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was born in Norman,
Okay.
and my father, we kind of come from the Marlow, Lawton, Norman area. That's where I got brought into this planet. Yeah, lived there about 10 years, and then the old man got laid off from his job, and we ended up in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And he went to work for 3M.
Okay. 3M. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So Minnesota, that's kind of a big change. That's very cold up there for you, wasn't it? Or
Oh man, a bunch of redneck hicks like us. I'd seen snow and sleet, but it was 1969, and it was a record snowfall that year. I think we got there in September. About November, it started snowing, and I've never seen snow and cold like that in my life.
Wow.
We were like from another planet, man. It was horrible.
wow.
Whereabouts in Minnesota were you at?
Kind of like near St. Paul, a little town called Wilderney. It's a suburb of North St. Paul. But at that time, it was kind of hick and backcountry, a little bit, but close enough to the city
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But I remember snowfall that you couldn't open the front door.
Wow.
It did snow for 7 days straight, minus 30. It was crazy.
Yep. I won't complain about Indiana weather then.
There's some nice houses and that stuff up the St. Croix River and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some nice architecture up there, yeah.
Is Minnesota where you got started?
I'm
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I started about 16 years old playing clubs. Minnesota was exploding. The Twin Cities. You play 7 nights a week. You could play 2 sets and walk down the street and go to another bar. It'd be packed. It was madness. Those days are long gone. But in those days, you played 5 hours a night usually,
Wow.
and you played 5 to 6 days a week.
All covers,
toured,
right?
You pretty much, yeah. And we tried to play our own songs. They sucked because we were young. We didn't know, but they wanted you to play what was current on the radio just to get shows.
Mm-hmm.
You had to play what was happening, and it was kind of a 5-state thing. You'd do Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, back to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
From one end to the other. It was 350 shows a year. Every year.
What was the band's name?
Band was called Dare Force.
Dare Force?
We were like the biggest Dare Force.
Okay.
Like daring.
Yep.
We were like the big fish in the little pond kind of thing. And I kept begging them to go to LA and let's take it out there and get a real record deal. But because Prince had come out of Minneapolis, they thought it was going to come to us, which it never did.
Yeah.
But Des Dickerson, his guitar player at the time, would come and hang out with us and come in the studio and give us, help on how to write. And so we all kind of had this fantasy that Prince was going to lead us along the way because he opened the door there.
Yeah.
But it never happened,
Then from Minnesota to where did you go after that? Did you just go solo after this, or did you stay?
No, I just got fed up, and you can only do that so long, the same venues so many years, and then I just decided I'm going to LA to make it.
Mm-hmm.
But me and about another 10 million people have that thought every day. So when you get there, you're nobody.
Yeah.
And I was homeless and starving to death, and liked to play around with certain substances that kept you awake for days and kept you from being hungry, and you know what I mean? I suffered. So then I ended up going back to Minnesota and joining the same band again and continuing on another year or so. And then I don't know what I did. I think I'd gone back out to LA again after that, and of course misfired, made a bunch of demos, met a lot of famous people, but homeless basically. Mm-hmm. And then recorded some demos with Mitch Perry, who played guitar with a band called Talus.
Okay.
And he had worked with Billy Sheehan out of Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitch went on to play with Schenker and a bunch of guys, and that's how I got my recognition, I guess, from one of those tapes that I'd done with him for Accept.
Okay.
So are you
really long? If you want to know,
are you singing at this time in this band? Are you playing an instrument? What are you doing? Just vocals?
What do I do now?
No, when you were with the band Minnesota.
I was just a singer. A singer. It was a 2-guitar kind of Thin Lizzy kind of style, Aerosmithy,
right,
type of thing. And what was trending at the time? Yeah.
Do you remember first song you guys wrote?
Yeah, it was called Half the Man, and another one called Subway Kid. We played that in the set, but like I said, the emphasis was on getting gigs, and we'd throw those songs in the set, but people knew them. One of the guys that had left the band wrote a song called On My Way that got a lot of radio play in Minneapolis,
nice.
So we got some big opening slots because of that song.
Yeah.
But I didn't write it, but that kind of was our glory, our claim to fame song.
Mm-hmm.
And he went on to play with Johnny Bolin, Tommy Bolin's brother, that guitar player, and in a band called DVC. And Johnny later went on to Black Oak, Arkansas, playing drums for them. But that was about all we did. We never really spent a lot of time in the studio because we played all the time, dude. We barely could. We would rehearse what was the top 40 single on stage before we played that night and play it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure back in the day to advertise, you had to use the flyers and word of mouth and things like that to get noticed.
Yeah.
It? Not like it is today.
It was funny. I was thinking about that last night. I'm doing a couple shows in the Midwest on March 1st and 2nd. I'm actually going to St. Croix Casino.
Really? Yep.
And I remember you'd look in the newspaper and there'd be like 50 bands a week, and the letters would be so small you could barely see it. But the bands that were popular, everybody knew, okay, they're playing this venue this week. You play like Wednesday through Saturday, in these venues. And I thought to myself to last night, I said, man, the posters and the media that I do now are gigantic. They have to be really eye-catching. But it was so good in those days. You didn't have to do what you do now. Mm-hmm. It was more word of mouth. It was a street level kind of thing. I really missed that.
Yeah.
It was far more attention to the band than there is now, because there's, social media, you here today, gone later today, you don't remember what you looked at in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah,
I only played in a small garage band back in the late 80s, early 90s. I just remember passing flyers, even taking them, just putting them on pop machines at grocery stores and stuff. Sure. And, it was fun doing that. Now
I still do it.
Oh, yeah?
I still do it. For my Minnesota show on March 1st, I got a squad of guys that I've known for years that are peppering cars, guitar stores, a record store. I made probably 500 flyers for this show, and apparently it's sold out. But yeah, posters, everything I could do, and mailed from my tour manager in Arizona. We put together a huge promotion pack because, like I said, people forget. I mean, if they don't see it and they're not reminded of it, but there's a thin line too. As you over remind people, then they're not going to go, yeah, I heard about that, I got something else to do. So you kind of strategically do it every 2 weeks. You do an onslaught, social media, you go crazy, and but if you oversaturate, then people get bored with it. Like, yeah, all right, I've seen it already.
Yep. So with these 2 shows you got in Minnesota, I mean, is there going to be any other dates follow after that? Maybe in U.S. or is that maybe later on?
I had about 15 dates cooking, and everything. I don't know what's going on in America. It's really tough. I mean, it was looking really good with casinos, and heading down from Wisconsin on the 2nd down into Oklahoma and Texas and Arizona, but just getting it done, it didn't happen. So we said, okay, we've got these 2 shows, let's go do them. And it ain't cheap, man. I mean, I'm flying from Italy. I got an American-based band that are backing me. Great players, really well-known guys, but with rehearsal costs, with flights, accommodation, everything, it really hurt us because, with those other shows, it would have kind of leveled out. But I've got a new album coming out March 1st, and I need to promote it. But when I come back in March, the middle of March, I go on, I do a bunch of festivals in Europe and Scandinavia. So I got to do what I got to do,
Talk to me about the new album you got coming out in March.
Well, it's a Reece solo album, and it's called Baptized by Fire. The last record I released, I did Iron Allies with Herman Frank from Accept, and that did pretty well. We have some huge festivals in May and June with Iron Allies. We're doing Grass Pop, about 150,000 people. We're doing Czech Metal Fest, blah, blah, blah. But my record, to explain the music, it's always weird. It's subjective. I've got a really great young band here in Italy that are my backing band. The guitar player is amazing. The bass player actually produced the record, and they live in the same town as I do. I can say it's probably my heaviest record that I've done, but it still keeps the standard of the melodic stuff that I'm known for, and the choruses. A little darker. The new single that's out right now on YouTube and on radio is called Enemy Is Me. It's killing it, and the views are insane. So
Great
if you get a chance, if people listen to it, check it out. And I'll be playing some of that in Minnesota and Wisconsin.
I actually had that song on my show last week, so it was
cool.
Great song. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also got my copy.
I
said I also got my copy ordered. I'm waiting for that one too. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm excited about it. I can say the artwork on the record is killer. Richie Newton from Newton Artworks did the artwork. Him and I spent a lot of time, because I use the Chief as kind of my solo album brand for the Reece thing. So this is like the Schwarzenegger Terminator Chief kind of look that I've come up with a lot of colors and stuff. So we've kind of trying to change him, kind of like they do with Iron Maiden with Eddie. Every year he's kind of got a different look. You have to excuse me. I've got kind of a cold and a flu, so I'm a little out of it. So
no, you're good. Yeah.
Thank God I got it now. I caught it now before I get on a plane in a couple of weeks. So I'm glad I got it now to get it out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's your favorite song on the new album?
Oh God, that's so hard for me. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Because I'll listen to the record like every couple days in my house and go, wow, I didn't think about that song. That's pretty good. I really like Payback's a Bitch. I like Tomorrow Don't Matter Today. Closer to God, I really like that one. But then every one of them, like Enemy, the next video and next single will be We Lost the Fight. I'm working on that right now. We're filming on Monday. I love the whole record. I mean, I ain't gonna say it's my best work because I hate that when artists say that because who knows what your best work is. I mean, it's up to the fan, it's up to the audience.
Right. Yep. Well, I'm gonna give you a big compliment because I've been following you since the Accept days, but your voice still sounds as good today as it did 30, 40 years ago, and I mean,
wow.
So when I buy your albums, and I do put you on repeat quite a bit on some of these songs, but the one I always have to play that always sticks in my head is Two Coins and a Dead Man. That has probably be one of my favorite songs of all time. Off of the Resilient Heart, off the Resilient Heart album.
We actually, thank you. We play that a lot live here in Europe, and my wife's actually in that video. That's her, the one that murders me with the big butcher knife. We had an actress scheduled for that video shoot, and she flaked on us that day. I said, Nadia, you're up to bat. And she goes, I've never been in a video. I said, you're going to do it. But I wrote that song with a guy named Martin Frank in Denmark, and the riff, it just hit me. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of my favorites too. I love that song.
Yeah, it's like I say, when I got it on mix, I always have to go back to the David Reece and listen to that before either I start my mix or at the end of it. So.
Yeah, it's nice that we finally get to talk to you because usually when we do interviews, I'm usually one that does a lot of the talking and asking questions. But when we got ready to do this, Steve said, no, I'm going to take the lead on this. I swear every other day when he sits down, he's talking about you.
Yeah.
He is constantly talking about you.
Yep.
So
thank you, Steve.
You're just, you sound great. Even when Scott Schmidt calls me, I think about every 2 phone calls, it has to be something. Well, what's David doing? Have you talked to David lately? You know, so no.
Scott's he's one of the good ones, man. He is one of the last of the dying breed that buys what he wants when he sees something or sees the shows coming out. He'll buy tickets. I mean, I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's going to some shows in Chicago. He's all excited about it. I mean, I love that whole gang of you guys in the Midwest. Seems like we're the only ones that still buy records, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And trust me, I got plenty of them. I got every one of them right here. So I just thought I'd bring up here. And, you know, you was even nice enough to autograph them and everything. So, anyway, just want to throw that out there. But,
dude, he misplaced this bag.
Oh.
Before this came on. I mean, literally about 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
He tore everything up. He went back to his house 10 times.
Yeah. I thought I lost my CD.
He looked like somebody killed his dog. I can't find it. I can't find it.
I said a few 4-letter words.
Yeah.
So,
anyway. That's how much.
You know what happened to me? I played a show in Germany on December 2nd. We left the 1st. We drove from Italy to do the gig because we'd heard some weather was coming to Munich. And the drummer wanted to rest his legs. So we get there and we cross into Austria. And I look down in my pouch and I forgot my passport.
No.
I have never forgotten my passport. And I just, in the hurry, just jumped in the car and we took off. And I'm thinking, oh, God, if they stop us at the border, I am screwed, you know. But they didn't stop us, thank God. But, you know, I know that feeling, Steve. You just, when you lose something, it's right in front of your face. You know, you run around like a madman.
Well, I had 2 people laughing at me. I thought, this ain't funny, guys. This is very serious.
Yeah, anyway. I was one of them. I was the one laughing.
So, all right, let's go back to your early days. How did you get to audition for Accept?
Well, that goes back to the second time in L.A. working with Mitch. And the weird thing was, I was sleeping on a floor down in Santa Monica at a woman's house named Lucy. And she had this little booking agency thing called Rock Congress. And the idea was it's kind of like a rock musician placement agency. Mm-hmm. And I'm a starving guy. She'd seen me play a few gigs in LA, and she said, you got talent, kid, you know. And I'm like, thanks, blah, blah, blah. Come stay with me if you need something or something to eat. So I had done those demos, and they were all on cassettes. And I just gotten so sick of Los Angeles and, you know, trying to get noticed. Sleeping on a floor next to a propane fake fireplace, you know. Because down there at the beach at night, it's cold, man. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm sleeping on a wad of clothes for a pillow and, you know, dirty shirts for sheets. And I just jumped up one morning and said, I'm getting out of here. I can't take it anymore. And my family had moved to Colorado. And so I actually forgot my demos, left them in her office. And long story short, Dieter Dirks, the producer of the Scorpions, shows up a couple days after I disappear. They're friends, and he's there doing Scorpions business, and said, I got a real dilemma. We have a guy from England that's doing the Accept demos. It's not working out. Do you know anybody you'd recommend? And she goes, matter of fact, this guy. And she hands him the cassette, plays the 3 songs. He said, that's the guy. Call him. She goes, I don't know where he is. She goes, what do you mean? He just took off. He went to Colorado. I don't know. So, long story short, I had rented a little mountain house and was painting houses again. And one stormy night, snowing, the phone rang, and it was Wolf Hoffman on the other line, the guitar player.
Wow.
And I thought it was a joke. You know, I know it's about happening to Accept. I'm looking for David Reece. I'm like, yeah, I'm Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
what do you want?
Yeah.
Hey, and he goes, no, I'm serious. I have your demos, and I really like what you do, and would you be interested in an audition for Accept? And I said, yeah, bear shit in the woods, right? I mean, come on, put me on a plane. So, literally, like a week or two later, I'm on a plane from Denver to Dusseldorf, Germany, and I'm standing around some of the biggest rock stars in the world, you know, Accept. Because, I mean, we used to play Restless and Wild, you know, Balls and Princess and all that stuff. I never in my wildest dreams thought that would happen. It was just the magic of the music business, right? Mm-hmm. But it was no, you know, magical journey. It was tough work. I mean, I was used to the, you know, get up, picked up by 5, go to the club, play the gig, try to sing like Alfred on this, imitate this guy, blah, blah, blah. But when you get into a band of that stature, it's 12-hour rehearsals. It's, you know, pre-production for hours on end on one part. Does that vocal work there? You know, I had no clue. I was a cover band guy. Mm-hmm. You know, and here they were making this transition from, you know, Udo, the star of the show, and taking a big step. Mm-hmm. You know, we're going to change the gravity of the whole world spinning with a new guy and try to become more commercial. Excuse me. And, you know, it took about 6 weeks before they were even convinced that I'd be the guy. And the final way into the band was they had booked a club gig in Cologne and said, okay, you've passed all these tests. Now we're going to see what you're like on stage. So they had advertised the band as Germany's biggest metal band without the name. Everybody knew they were looking at new singers, so they knew it was us. We get there, there's 3,000 people standing outside.
Oh.
For a club.
I'm friggin' terrified. I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, I'm thinking, I'm going home tomorrow morning. You know, but I said, I threw down a few shots of Jack Daniels, a couple 20,000 beers, and I'm going to do it because I'm going home. And the club is, you know, face-to-face packed, and a pretty good-sized joint called the Empire, and I go out there and we do the old stuff. And we rip it up. We played like 90 minutes of 2 hours, and people are stage diving, going nuts. And I basically went back to the guest house that I was provided, and I thought, well, start packing my bag because I didn't think it went that well. You know, because you never knew with those guys. They would never say yes or no. It was always like, oh, not bad. Oh, this is bad. You know, it was never decisive. Mm-hmm. Well, I got up in the morning the next day, you know, with a head the size of New Jersey from partying, and I said, well, I better go face the music because I can hear the band talking to the manager and get my ticket and go home. And walked into the kitchen and they stuck their hand out and said, welcome to Accept.
Wow.
So I was in the band, and it was like, huh? And yeah, that's how it happened. It's a nutty story.
How much hate did you get replacing Udo?
No, God.
That bad,
brother, there was no middle. You either hated my guts or you loved me.
Right.
There was no, we'll give this guy a chance. For the diehard Udo fans, Udo and I have been friends since the studio days of making that record. I've done tours with Udo. He warned me about it. You know, I never knew how big he really was. You know what I mean? He has that Panzer, good old boy, identifiable image that all the German dudes identify with. He's their guy. And when in Germany and Europe, there's a thing about loyalty with an artist. You don't rock the boat. It's like Megadeth. If Dave Mustaine walked out of Megadeth, there's no Megadeth. If you know what I mean, because Udo was the fixture.
Right.
And a lot of people took that personal because they had grown up with that band.
Yeah.
So they felt like they had been betrayed. And now you see with the Accept camp and the UDO camp, Udo is doing much better than Accept now because he is the guy. Mm-hmm. I got nothing but utmost respect for him. But then there was this other dichotomy or whatever the word is of people who said, man, you know, you can really sing, you know, the band is more accessible for us now, you know, there's more melody, and they really love me, but there absolutely was no middle. There was people holding signs up, you know, doing this like they were hanging me, or people hugging me. It was horrible. It was a kick in the ass.
You know, it sounds like that. Have you seen the movie Rockstar?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's when you, like Blaze and those guys, when you replace somebody of that stature. Yeah. Look at Halford. When Ripper took over Halford, they destroyed him. But he did some great work with the band. They kept going. But when Halford came back, you see what happens. Yeah. There's just a certain voice that fits, and that whole thing. It's the it factor. Yeah. You know, it's never really the same if you replace that guy. Yeah. Now, if he dies, let's say how lucky AC/DC was. Back in Black was written with Bond intended to sing it. Now, Brian Johnson walks in after this guy basically just explodes around the world with Highway to Hell, and he dies, and then they find this guy in Nottingham to replace him. And if it wasn't for such a great album, I don't think AC/DC would have survived it. I mean, Johnson pulled it off.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be one of the best albums ever written following a replacement.
It goes gold every year to this day.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow. People, I don't know about with digital technology, but, you know, say 20 years ago, I was reading about it. People wore that CD out from dropping it on the floor of the truck or their vinyl scratching all the pieces. They go buy it again.
That was the first CD I ever bought, was that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every song is great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I could hear Bon Scott singing those songs.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you heard the AI versions that are out there of him singing those songs? Oh, it's creepy.
No.
It's creepy.
Is it weird?
It's creepy good. It is really creepy good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they had written that record with him in mind. Yeah. You know, I mean, can you imagine being Brian Johnson and getting handed, you know, Shoot to Thrill and, you know, Back in Black, here's the tracks, dude. Oh my God, you know, what a record. Yeah. But he didn't know how the fans were going to, you know, take him in. I mean, but it exploded. Yeah. I think it sold 8 million copies that first year.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Yep. So, okay, you're with Accept. You come out with the album Eat the Heat. Did they already have some of the songs written before you got there, or with Accept, or was this something you went in fresh with them?
When I talk about the work ethic of the Germans, it's there's no fucking around. And I literally, with my green, you know, young kid mentality, I knew that Scorpions were finishing Savage Amusement. And my whole fantasy was, I get to meet the Scorpions. I didn't have a clue what I was thinking. I mean, I wanted to go to Dirk's studios and meet the Scorpions. Mm-hmm. I walk into the studio, there's Rudolph and there's Dieter Dirks kind of having an argument. I walk up like a fanboy, hey man, it's looking at me like I was out of my mind. And Peter Baltus, the bass player, literally walked me down in the basement to a little demo room with a 24-track machine, put a 58 microphone in front of my face and started playing me Turn the Wheel Around and said, sing something. I mean, now I got jet lag. I'm a kid. I'm like, what? He goes, let's go to work. So we worked all day. He had Turn the Wheel Around. He had that. but he wanted me to start scribbling words, so I just started scribbling words and singing the ideas. And he goes, "That's pretty good." We'd do it again. And at night, the rest of the band would filter in and listen on their own to see what I was doing. And that happened day after day after day. Ecstasy everything was kind of half finished, but they wanted me to put in the American injection lyrically for the crossover. So Gabby Wolf's wife is listed as Deffy on all the albums. If you see All Songs by Accept and Deffy, she was the one writing the lyrics. So right away, her and I butted heads. I'm the lyricist. I want you to write about this. It made no sense to me because it was German-English translation. It just was weird. Mm-hmm. So I put my street lyric vibe to it, and they weren't used to that because, you know, if you listen to the lyrics that they wrote, they were pretty dark. So we clashed a lot. We got through it. And I got to say, you know, when you're making a record with Dieter Dierks, a guy of that stature, he looked at me one night and he said, "You sing really well, but the problem is you don't know what your voice is. And it's my job to find that." Because you spend your life being in cover bands, you want to emulate those singers to sell beer. Mm-hmm. And fill those beer halls, right? You want to play Holy Diver, try to sing it like Ronnie. You want to sing Another Thing Coming, you got to sing it like Halford, right? So you lose your kind of identity. You get the strength of how to sing with a cold, how to travel, and do all that stuff. But that's a mere fraction of being in a real rock and roll band. So we found that identity, which I'm forever grateful for. He kind of brought that out of me. And then one other thing that he said that absolutely terrified me was during the production of the record, he stopped recording me one night and he looked at me all serious. He goes, "You realize, David, if this record bombs, they're going to blame me and they're going to blame you. It's our fault." And I said, "Oh, no, I'm David Reece. This will never fail." And he goes, "No, be prepared, because if this fails, it's our fault. Not the band's fault.
Yeah.
It's your fault and my fault."
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was absolutely right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That same thing happened with Motley Crue when John Corabi replaced him, right? I think that's a great album, but when it went bad, it's Corabi's fault. Not the band.
Look at Krabby now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the best album they ever made.
Oh, so do I.
And you know, Dead Daisies, I mean, he's back. I mean, they're killing it.
Yeah.
I mean, Krabby never quit, but he took a lot of heat. I mean, they were doing 20,000 seaters. When the album came out, they couldn't put 3,000 people in Nashville. Right. So the end was near, so they had to buck up and call Vince and say, "Sorry, we need you back." And look what happened. Motley Crue's doing 20, 30,000 people a night again.
Yeah.
I love the Dead Daisies with Krabby in it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Me too. I mean, killer band.
Yeah.
Well, if they Eat the Heat, the other song I like is the Generation Clash. Have you ever seen the MTV video for that?
Oh, I'm sure I have.
Yeah, that's another one I liked off of that album. So
that's a set favorite. Every night I play, we do that bass intro, and everybody knows from the first note what it is. Mm-hmm. When I did the UDO Steel Factory tour, I was the special guest. I basically played, 50% of the set was Eat the Heat, and that's why I was there. Mm-hmm. The two ex-Accept singers on that tour, people went nuts. And my mother went to see the Eagles one night, actually, and it's a funny story. She was sitting in the audience with my dad, and they were testing the PA, and they used Generation Clash to test the sound system.
Oh, really?
She said that was a defining moment that her son had finally done something worthwhile in his life. There's 20,000 people sitting outside and they're playing do-do-do-do-do-do, and the whole ground is shaking, and she said, "Honey, that's Dave's song." So
that's pretty good. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, man.
All right, so
small world.
Yep. So after Accept, you joined, how'd you start or get with Bangalore Choir?
I got fired from Accept. I got physical with one of the guys in the band, and the communication was so bad that I just hit him, and you're done. And, there's two sides to every story, but violence never solves anything.
Right.
And so I knew I had momentum. I was on MTV. Everybody knew my name then. So I went back to LA, and I said, I'm going to form my band, and I'm going to get a record deal. And now people know who I am. So I went down to GIT, met John Kirk, and we started writing songs. I had a drummer and a couple other different guitar players and stuff. And one day, John said to me, I got this guy, Kurt Mitchell, from Reno, who's a beast. We got to get Kurt in the band. So we brought Kurt down, and he was right. Kurt's probably one of the greatest guitar players that ever walked the planet. He joined the band. And in California, you don't play all the time. You play like once a month. Okay. And you go out and you put out flyers like you mentioned, you stand on the strip and you say, come to our show Friday at the Whiskey or whatever. And I think the 9th show, I had an offer from every label in California.
Wow.
Every major. I was hanging out at Stevie Nicks' house, and her personal assistant was my manager. So I'm using her demo studio to demo what became that album. Sitting at the pool with Stevie Nicks every day, going, wow. Not a dime in my pocket, but I'm hanging out at a mansion with an icon, yep. Getting stories about Joe Walsh and Jim Morrison and Janis, fascinated. But it happened really quickly. We got Howard Kaufman to be the main management, and they brought us to Warner Brothers and signed us. And I had gone to a Michael Schenker show, and Herman, the drummer at the time in the Scorpions, had called me and said, hey, I'm going to go see Michael tonight at the Palace. The whole band's here at the Scorps, and I knew them. Come on down, say hi. And I was walking into the backstage area to meet Herman, and a guy named Kevin Moran, who was chief A&R at Giant Warner Brothers, walked up to me and said, hey, man, the buzz on the streets is you guys are getting signed. And I said, yeah, if you don't get in line, you're going to miss out. He said, be in my office at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and let's make a deal. So I made a major deal the next morning.
Wow.
And that's how it happened. And then, we had a lot of songs, Good Die Young. John and I wrote that in about 15 minutes. It's one of those that fall out of the sky. Mm-hmm. And Kurt brought Freight Train, All or Nothing, a couple of those tunes. But then, the record companies, they go, we don't hear a hit. So they put me in a room with Steve Plunkett from Autograph, with Angel in Black, and
I really liked him. I really liked Steve Plunkett. He's a good guy.
But he's a great songwriter. We went on to write together for a few years after that ended. And I have a great respect for Steve's songwriting ability. He's really good with melody.
Yeah.
Autograph got signed. Well, they actually weren't signed, and the drummer used to jog with David Lee Roth. And he played him the demo of that first album while they were jogging, and they're on a Walkman, and Roth said, hey, you want to open for Van Halen? And he's like, what? He goes, yeah, come out and be our support act for the 1984 tour.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's that? Without a record deal.
Wow.
So you got Turn Up the Radio and all these hits, and as soon as they went out and played their first show, every label in the universe wanted to sign them.
Yeah.
So Roth opened the door for Autograph. Long story short. Anyway, I'm gabbing, but
very interesting story. History.
Yeah, so I wrote with him, and then I found out my manager called me one night and said, Bon Jovi's in town doing Blaze of Glory, the movie soundtrack.
Yep.
And he's at A&M Studios, and he's working with Aldo Nova again, trying to revive his career, because we all know Aldo had his dark days like we all do. I want you to go down there. They got a couple of songs they want to play for you and see if there's anything that would fit on this record. And he said, it can't hurt to have a Bon Jovi song on your record, Dave. I said, I get it. This is the days of blonde hair and commercialized pop, right? Kind of what killed metal anyways. But so I go down there, and there's Bon Jovi, black eyes, not sleeping for days, working, and there's Aldo, and they played me 3 or 4 songs, and they played me this track called Doing the Dance. And I said, wow. And Kurt looked at me and goes, I can do that one. So we took it. And we coursed a lot of advertisement because Bon Jovi's name was behind it and all that stuff. So, we had some outside writers. And then Loaded Gun was written by the bassist who's with Styx now. And I just lost his name on the top of my head. He's been with Styx for 30 years. Fabulous song. And if you watch that video with Loaded Gun, which I didn't want to be the first single, but the label, they call the shots. We had to audition all the actors, the kids that are in it, and there's a man and woman main actor part that's in it. And we looked at about 100 guys that day, and the guy that I picked was Jared Leto.
Oh, wow.
So he walked in after looking at about 50 young guys going, but when he walked in, he just had that James Dean hair and everything. I went, that's the guy. So Jared Leto's in that video, and the little blonde girl that's in it, she went on to become some famous actress in TV as well. I don't remember her name, but him in 30 Seconds to Mars, I ran into him in Germany. I said, do you remember me? And he's looking at me all weird, and I go, Bangalore Choir, our Loaded Gun video. And he goes, oh my God, that's my first acting job. And I said, yep, that's me. And he introduced me to the band. It was pretty cool. But then I saw Jared Leto explode as one of the biggest movie stars in the world, That's LA. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
But anyways, we released the record, I think, 2 weeks before Nirvana, Teen Spirit. Mm-hmm. And we shipped about gold, I think. And they shipped 6 million copies. Wow. So you get that phone call, walk in the office, and it's like nobody knows your name. And all the guys that were buying you the $50 bowls of chili and, everything else that goes along with it, tell you that your life's over, rock and roll's dead, go home and get a real job. Mm-hmm. And we had done some touring and some opening slots. We were up for the Slip of the Tongue tour because our management managed Whitesnake, and things were kicking off. And literally 2 or 3 months after release, we were nobody.
Wow.
It was devastating. That's an understatement. Mm-hmm. So, end of story. But when you mentioned Eat the Heat, except you said about people hated you and all that stuff, I can tell you, during the UDO Steel Factory tour, they re-released Eat the Heat on like 3,000 limited orange vinyl. Every show I did, and there was like 38 of them, people walked up to me with that record, the new re-release or the old one, and said, I hated your guts, but I've grown to love this record. And it's one of my favorite albums of all time. Would you sign it, please? And I'd be like, sure. That was 30-something years ago.
Right.
So it's got legs, and people still talk about it. Yep. And the same with Bangalore Choir. I play those songs, everybody knows them. Yep. I was told that it was over, but I did not know that grunge had not hit Europe and UK, and that we were doing really well over here. Yeah. I should have got the band together and just said, let's go to Europe and sweat it out. Because it didn't really hit here until 2 years later. Jane's Addiction, Nirvana, and all that stuff. They didn't really grab it. But we were told it was over worldwide, so get a real job.
Yeah.
Where I consider music to be a real job if you're doing it full time. So,
that was actually...
I didn't know.
As a big music fan like Pete and myself, we was the 80s person. So when, grunge come in and start taking our bands away from the limelight or whatever, it was kind of like sad. I didn't know what to do for like 5 years. I mean, I couldn't get into that type of music. I listened to some of it, don't get me wrong, but I went back to listen to the old stuff. I still remember when you guys came out with the Loaded Gun video. I thought, hey, it's still around a little bit. 92, I think it was, whatever it was. And I was like, man, it's still here, but I mean, people's got to go find it,
And I hated grunge so bad. Man, I hated it.
Well, what happened was I had this really heartfelt feeling in my gut that, it's a big stylish thing right now, but this ain't gonna last. This is a 3 or 4 year splash. And look at rock today; it's gone full circle, and grunge killed itself off too. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many songs can you sing about heroin and all those guys that were like the superstars, excluding, let's see, Anthony Kiedis and Eddie Vedder, are the only ones that are still alive. Mm-hmm. All those great singers like Cornell, they're dead.
Yep.
I mean, it's such a weird black spot. It's kind of like COVID of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good description.
That's pretty good. Yep.
Well, and here's something that I find fascinating as well. My household, my wife and my 2 stepsons, love the grunge era. I hear Soundgarden in my house all the time. My oldest son is a Pearl Jam fanatic. Now this 26, 24-year-old crowd are starting to realize that music from then, and it's got even a bigger impact. It's really crazy. And the guys that I play with in my solo band, they came up in that era. Mm-hmm. They were little kids.
Yeah.
I'm old, much older than them, and they bring that energy to me. They go, Dave, you got the big voice, you're the name guy, but check out this riff. And I go, that's fucking cool. What is that? And I'm into this band, bands I've never heard of.
Yeah.
But then I'll listen to them in the car with them and go, man, that's a fucking great band. Who is it? Nobody knows them. They're from Croatia or whatever. You go, Jesus Christ, these guys could be huge. Yeah, they'll never get out of their basement. But I learned a lot about that. I mean, and now I've gone back and realized how great Lane Staley really was, how great Chris Cornell really was, and gone, fuck, I missed it. You know, I was so angry and bitter like you guys that my life's over because of you pricks.
Yep.
But I kind of realized too that every dude wanted to look like David Lee Roth. Everybody was wearing the same clothes. I mean, you go up and down the strip and they all look alike. You know, like dudes look like chicks. I mean, we kind of cut our own noses off to spite our face. I mean, it was just oversaturation of Loaded Gun and these songs all day long that there was an opening for something fresh.
Yep.
And I think, you know, society was changing. Rap had really exploded. And then you got this little town called Seattle that nobody really even knew about except for the beer and the baseball team, right? So, or the football team. But they came out with this movement. And it was how they really lived their lives. It was rainy, ugly, nasty. Kids were depressed, single homes. They wrote about that stuff. They didn't write about banging 10 chicks in a week, doing all the blow you can put up your nose.
Yeah.
Nobody can fucking relate to that. I mean, you can't do 10 grams of blow a day and live. I mean, it's all an act. And these young kids who'd had nothing went, man, that's all poser shit, man. Let's listen to real rock.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it. You know, rap is about the street. It's about living the life, right? And people identified with that. So it was a phenomenon. You know, the same thing with grunge. But look at what's happening now. There's a resurgence of the British wave of metal. You got Saxon, Uriah Heep, Priest. These bands are really doing consistently well right now, especially over here.
Okay,
they're loyal fans, you know.
I'm going to go. One of the questions I was bringing up, and you kind of just said it right there, like you're saying, like they're blown up over here. What is it like, the music-wise, or the music scene over there with the people compared to the U.S. right now? I mean, every time I see you guys post something, it's always like a full house.
Well, there's a difference in the European mindset. If they love your band, they love it till death. There's a music loyalty to the bands that they follow. If they support you, in America, I find that if it's fashionable, it's hot for a couple days and then it's over. But over here, it just seems to be more integral as far as the love of it. They listen to your record. If they don't like it, they'll fucking tell you. The media will tell you. This record that I just released, I'm getting 9s out of 10s, 10s out of 10, saying it's some of my best work. I don't know if it is, but these are people that have followed me for 35, 40 years saying, I don't know, you've touched a nerve, Dave. And I'm like, have I? But they're real fans, and they'll articulate each song, what they hear in it. And I go, I never thought of that, you know. But if you do press in the United States, it's like a used car salesman thing for like 2 days, and then it's over. It's like a flash in the pan. And that's the difference in Europe and England, is that they really are loyal to their groups. Saxon is bigger now than they were 10 years ago.
Wow. Yep.
I mean, they have a diehard. Udo, he's got Peter from Accepting the band, and I mean, they're killing it. They're selling out. I mean, I'm watching their schedule. Sold out. And I mean, they're 1,000-seaters, 2,000-seaters, but in this economy, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, you playing 500 people, agents are calling you, bro. If you're doing 300 people in a 500-seat room, you're coming back.
Yeah.
You know? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the economy we live in.
Yeah.
Never thought that 2,000 records would be called a success. And back from the days I come from, where if you didn't do 1 million, you were yesterday's news.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Okay, so see, after Bangalore Choir, I'm just reading off my little notes here. I think it was you went to a Christian Tully project. Is that right? Or is that?
No, I did a thing called Circle of Silence with Greg Chason from Badlands, because we had done some gigs together with Bangalore. And when Ray died, Jake had called me and said, let's keep Badlands together. And I went down and jammed with them because they had seen me on stage with Bangalore, and Bangalore had been dropped. Badlands was going through the same mess everybody was, and they were just falling apart. And Greg and I kind of came out of that with a band called Circle of Silence. It was a real dark attempt to kind of stay relevant with the grunge era, Sabbath-y kind of, Bad Motor Finger kind of thing.
Whoa. Hang on a second
Didn't work
here.
out. We got some Asian deals.
Hang on a second here. Did you say that Jakey Lee asked you to come in and try out for Badlands?
Yeah.
No shit.
That's his favorite.
Oh,
band.
man,
Jake and
I love Jakey Lee's my guy, man. I love him. I just love the way he plays. And Badlands is great,
he's
man.
I
Wow.
saw Jakey when he was playing with Mickey Rat with Stephen Pearson
Yeah.
in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I saw him with the King, Crosby and those guys, and I'm like, who's that guy, the Asian guy with the scarf on his neck?
Right.
And this guy's a monster. And then I saw him in Ozzy, and I went, oh my God, But then we played, I don't know, we did probably 5 shows together, and Ray was real sick in those days. You could tell he wasn't feeling good. He sang his ass off. Then he passed away, and like 6 months later, Greg said, hey man, Jake wants to talk to you. And I'm like, cool. I went down there, we did High Wire and Dreams in the Dark, and I could sing that shit in those days. I still had that. I can't do that now. But, I was a huge Ray Gillan fan.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. And then Jake's a vampire, dude. I mean, the guy does not get up till nighttime. I mean, he called me at 4 o'clock in the morning like it was, 5 in the afternoon, going, what's up, man? I'm like, dude, I'm asleep. Oh, man, I'm playing video games. I got the... And then he told me out of the blue, I don't think I want to do this. I'm going to do a band with Mandy Lyon called World War III. We're going to do like a death metal meets Prince kind of thing. And I thought, well, good luck, pal. And it's the last I talked to him.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's
I
good.
don't even know what he's doing now. I know the Red Dragon Cartel came out for a while, and now he's kind of disappeared again. I wish he'd come out because he's a great musician.
Well, there's stuff floating around that Red Dragon Cartel's gonna do something.
Yeah, it said coming soon off of their Facebook page. So
No, that's interesting that you have that connection. That's
I mean, but when you live in L.A. and you get to that certain level, you start running into the Rats and the Motleys, and of course the Coke scene was really big. So wherever there was blow, that's where the bands were, and the girls. Mm-hmm. So you went to those places to make your appearance and play the game, And then after grunge took over, the same guys that I was hanging out with, riding Harleys with, all of us were standing around with our fingers up our ass going, what are we going to do now?
right.
You got Janie Lane, you got all these guys standing there going, what just happened? I mean, I can't get arrested, It was a really weird time.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty wild.
Yeah,
this is a great interview, by the way. I'm just glad we got a chance to talk to you because, this brings like chills just hearing your stories, man. It's great. I'm glad people get to hear this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's life, man. I'm glad you want to hear my boring story. I fucked a lot of it up. I made some terrible decisions, and it's not been all glorified the way it sounds. The music business is a full contact sport, brother.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Especially nowadays.
Welcome back to the Barstool Banter. I'm your host, Pete Judy, along with Steve-O from Steve-O's Music Madness, and along with the brilliant David Reece we've been talking to for a minute.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yep. Yeah, thanks again. Thank you for
Thank you.
doing this, David, for taking the time. So we really do appreciate it.
Hey man, without you guys, there ain't no me. I appreciate it more than you know. I mean, it helps greatly.
Okay, we're pretty much on the downside here. One of the things, where can people find you on social media, anything? Where can they look for David Reece or any of your bands?
Facebook, David Reece Official, Friends Who Like David Reece, Instagram, El Puerto Records is my label. I give them a shout out. They're based out of Germany. Yeah, I'm usually pretty easy to find if you need to hook up with me.
Yep. And I'm going to give a shout out to El Puerto Records. I know when I talked to you one time and you gave me the contact, that guy was nice enough to respond back. I'm talking within like an hour. He was nice enough to just respond back with a thanks, and so I give it to people like that. Yeah, I mean, so.
Are you talking about Matt Bischoff?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's the man. He great with media. He's a good human being. I've known Matt for years.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, he just popped up on my screen with a smiley face. That's funny. We said that.
Oh, shoot. That's good. Okay, so with your new album coming out, you're playing March 1st here over in Wisconsin. What do you have in store for...
we start...
Go ahead.
We're going to start in Fridley, Minnesota at Route 47. It's ticket sales are killer. Yeah, that's my old stomping grounds, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then the second we play Turtle Lake Casino, St. Croix, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And then we jump back on a plane and head back over because we had a bunch of dates in April in Scandinavia, a 4-day run, one night with Blaze Bailey. And then I got a bunch of festivals with Herman Frank from Accept, with Iron Allies, Portugal, Belgium, Czech Republic, Germany. And I'm booking more solo dates for myself. So This year is starting to look more lively than it has been. I mean, I think I played only 7 shows last year.
Really?
Wow.
Murder. I mean, from the COVID bottleneck, when they opened it up, I mean, there was a town in Germany where Schenker was playing on one street and down the next Wasp was playing, and it was in Stuttgart. Nobody showed up to both gigs. They didn't know where to go. I mean, because they were making up for cancellations.
Yeah. And even with, I think that COVID had a lot of things to do with the bands, even in the U.S. So there was a lot of places that actually closed down. I mean, venues and stuff. Yeah. I mean, that was the...
Oh, yeah, same here.
So, but...
And what happened was working bands like myself, artists like me, because of COVID and the economic disaster, they're not paying you to play. Mm-hmm. And I can't take an entourage out and expect my guys to work for a door deal. I understand the venues are trying to rebuild, but the artist always seems to be the one that takes the pounding. Mm-hmm. And even if you do say, okay, door deal, that doesn't mean people are going to go out, because a lot of bands book tours and then they cancel. Mm-hmm. Or they just, because they look at ticket sales, they go, we can't afford to go.
Yep.
And we're not going. And so a lot of they can stay home and watch the gig from somebody's phone and drink their beer, and it's really hurt us.
Yep. That's happened to Flotsam and Jetsam. That was a good point about
they
ticket
just canceled,
sales.
didn't they?
Because we actually, in our little town of Cambridge City, we got a band that's signed with Napalm Records called Wolftooth. They were supposed to go on tour for a month with Flotsam and Jetsam, but the sales wasn't there, so Flotsam and Jetsam, cancel. So
I saw Ken Murray a couple of years ago in Italy. Well, right before COVID, Flotsam played Lupolo Festival in Italy, and I got to see Ken.
Wow!
And they were doing well. And then I saw the post. We just can't afford it. It's not financially doable.
Yep.
Really sad.
Yeah, but with you, I'm glad you're still putting out great music. I enjoyed even seeing the live videos, things like that. So I do appreciate your time today. We're gonna close it out. You want to do Pete's got these. I'll let him describe what he does here.
So what I do is I like asking questions to you, step off the wall questions, not necessarily anything that has to do with music. I call it 15 question for 15 seconds, but it's morphed into more than 15 and longer than 15 seconds. So, if you want, I'd like to run down some of that with you.
Go ahead, man. Fire away.
Okay, first thing that pops in your mind, that's the answers we're looking for, okay?
Okay.
When you're on the road, what's the favorite kind of food you like to eat?
Chicken salad.
Chicken salad. First band you were in, I think we already answered
Yeah, we
all
already got that one.
Say it again.
The first band you were in?
We'll call it Dare Force, Minneapolis.
Right. In your opinion, what's the best song that's ever been written?
Right now, it's Band on the Run, Wings.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. I can't.
Yeah, that's a great song. Favorite thing to do when you're at home?
Killer.
Favorite thing to do when you're at home?
Business.
Yes. Always working.
I believe that.
Oh, always.
Yeah. If you were to get into your car or your stereo or your phone, what song is playing right now?
Bad Company, Running with the Pack record.
Very nice. Boxers or briefs?
Excuse me?
Boxers or briefs?
None of the above.
That's the second time we've had that answer.
Yeah.
I like plenty of swinging room.
Yeah.
I've been drinking that one.
Do you still owe money to Columbia House?
Probably I'm hiding under an assumed name. I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
That would be the 1970s. I think I ordered about 1,000 records at the record club, and I think it was like $1 for 10 albums. I probably owe $1,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we're all in that boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the first LP, CD, 8-track, whatever you bought?
Deep Purple Machine Head.
Wow.
Really? Was that
Yeah.
album?
Rock album, yeah. Wouldn't be my first record, I can say, in all honesty, being from Oklahoma, Charlie Pride.
Charlie Pride.
Country music.
Yeah.
Was my first Charlie Pride and Conway Twitty.
So-
I started country music. That was I still love real country music.
Oh yeah, real. Yes.
Yes.
Rock,
Yep.
So that was
rock record would be, rock music would be Deep Machine Head, Deep Purple,
Right.
Played It to Death.
Was that an LP, a cassette?
LP.
LP.
You can make fun of me. My first one was Air Supply.
Hey man, I had the same management with the White Snake management. I saw those guys all the time, and I saw many of their shows.
Yep.
Amazing vocals, great songs.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I actually got to go see him a couple years ago.
Yeah. He talks
Yeah.
about that being
they still,
Yeah,
Best
they're still,
concert
yeah,
ever.
Yeah, it was a great show. I mean, it was a good show.
yeah,
Not the best concert,
They really
it was a
can
good
sing.
show.
they can sing, man.
Yep.
What is the best show you've ever seen?
First one was Peter Frampton. Frampton Comes Alive. Jay Giles was the second band.
Did you hear your wife?
And
Yeah.
and the first band before that was Ruby Starr and Grey Ghost. When Ruby left Black Oak, Arkansas, knocked me out. I said,
Wow.
that is what I want to do.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah, my wife's sitting over here, and she's a big Peter Frampton fan. So when you said that, she was like, "Yes."
Yep.
I mean, I'd never been to a concert, and when they shut the lights down and all the frisbees flying around and everybody's smoking weed, and then just the energy and the magic of that night, I said, "Oh my God, where have I been?" I mean, this is incredible. And that was when he had, "Ooh, Baby, I Love Your Way," and all the hits were happening, and it was just magic.
Cool. If you were not playing music, what would you be doing?
Cowboying.
Really?
Yeah, ranch cattle, raising horses, and I train bird dogs. I'm an avid hunter. I love to deer hunt, love to bird hunt.
Really?
I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment and my rights to hunt and fish, and grew up hunting and fishing as a kid. I love ranching. I love the lifestyle. I love the people. Being out of Montana, I mean, I was ranch foreman for years when I kind of disappeared from music for about 6-7 years, and I ended up being ranch foreman, running about 400 pairs of Angus, and coming from Oklahoma, my granddaddy was a cowboy, and I love the cowboy lifestyle.
Very nice. Very nice.
Good.
All the places you've played, what is your favorite place to play?
Oh my God. There's something magical about all of them.
Yeah.
Memorable gigs. Firefest, England was one of those. God, there's just so many festivals. It's hard to say. The ones where people show up and they know who I am, and they know my songs, and their hands are up, and they're singing along, and you go, oh my God, they know the words, and you know, those are the ones that I remember the most.
Right.
There's some stinkers too. There's some where you're begging them to respond, and they're just staring at you like, get out of here. We're waiting for the headliner.
Right.
Get off the stage.
Right.
They keep looking at the watch.
Was that a Chuck Taylor that just flew by my head? What was that? The plastic bottle, I hope? Yep.
Hey, I tell you, I saw the Cult open up for Metallica.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? Justice for All Tour.
It was. And I swear, there was somebody that was down in the pit, and they hated the Cult so bad that they took off their shoe and threw it and hit him in the face.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Would be easy to find who did
Great
it.
band, The Cult.
Oh, yeah. I really didn't like them until probably the last, 3 or 4 years. Now I really, really, really dig them. Isn't it weird?
Yeah, I got a bone to pick with that singer. He was banging my girlfriend at one time. I found out later. So if I run into him, I'll have a few words with him.
Ian Asbury?
Yeah. I found out through the grapevine, and it pissed me off because, Accept had come out at the same time. We were actually invited by Hetty to come down and see that show. We played the Pomp Room in South Dakota, Rapid City, and they were playing the convention center, and Cult was the opening band, and it was that tour, 89, I think. And Hetfield got on our bus, and we had a nice belching contest, and it was a memorable night, yeah. But I always loved the Cult. I thought they had something,
Yeah. Okay, toilet paper. Over the roll or under the roll?
I'm married. I have to do it over the roll now.
Hey,
I'm an under guy when I'm single.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong. It's always over the roll, bud.
Don't they have like a patent or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Shows what it is? Yeah.
Chicken or steak?
Steak.
Steak.
Black Angus.
How do you like it?
I like it bloody. Knock the horns off and wipe his ass.
If you could have dinner with anyone, live or dead, who would it be?
One more time with my grandmother.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. An angel and loved me unconditionally. I could have took a shit in the living room floor, got my ass kicked, but she would have still cooked me a pot of red beans and fried taters and gave me a hug.
That's
she
awesome.
was a real human being. I mean, I miss that, the true love, that you can be whatever you want, and I love you unconditionally. That if I could just sit down one more day and put my hands on her, I'll see her again.
Oh,
yeah.
That's freaking nice.
That's an excellent answer, dude. Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, last question I have for you. Who is your favorite celebrity you've ever met?
Besides
That's
us.
a tricky question. You have an idea of people that you look up to, and when you meet them, they're usually not that nice.
Right.
But when you do this long enough, you kind of realize touring and stuff. Hey, I'm tired. You put on that smile when you go out and meet your fans because they've spent the money to come hang out with you.
Right.
I guess the guy that the most crazy thing that I hung out with Stevie Nicks a lot, but I met Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones and did a bunch of blow with him in a bathroom in AM Studios. And we finished doing a bunch of blow, my drummer and I. We got in the car and left, and he said, "We just did blow with Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones." And I go, "Fuck yeah." That was pretty cool.
That's excellent.
Be honest, that's Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones faces, and I'm standing in a bathroom crammed together doing lines of coke, and he's telling stories about Mick Jagger, and I'm like, "Oh my God, is this really happening?"
That is great.
That's excellent, dude. That's excellent.
Yep.
Okay, well that's all
the truth.
Yeah, that's all the questions I have for you. But I tell you what, I'd love to get you back on and talk some more some other time.
Yeah.
Say when, man.
Yeah, we'll do
Say
that.
when.
Yeah. We're looking. We're looking forward to the new album. Like I say, I got it ordered. I'm ready to.
Thank you.
Ready to crank it out. Again.
Great. Baptized by Fire, El Puerto Records, March 1st, 2024.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a killer, man.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube and look at Enemy Is Me, our first single. The next one will be We've Lost.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was interrupting you.
March 1st is release date, official. Pre-orders are available now. I will have, in America, the new album available at merchandise, plus t-shirts, everything, and my back catalog. There's also a book that's written, and I'm one of the characters. It's called Tales from the Strip. And Brett Monroe is the author, and the art director is, again, Richie Newton Artworks. And I'm one of the characters in some of my insane stories of run-ins with the law, living in Hollywood, the madness, and it's not really my face, but it's some of my stories and how I escaped some of that madness. He's going to be there with his book. I'd like to give him a plug on that. It's coming out, I think, end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
It should be interesting because a lot of the artists from the '80s are going to be in there telling their stories. So, yeah, but I'll have everything available at the merch booth. So come and see me, and you can find me here on social media. And I want to thank you guys, man.
Yeah. Yep. We really enjoyed this. This made my Saturday.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was good. So.
Yeah, I do appreciate you sitting down and talking with us. It's great. I definitely want to sit down and pick your brain again. Maybe not so much serious, just sit down and talk. I bet you got a million stories you can tell us.
Oh boy.
Do you want the good ones or which one do you want first?
Yeah, I got the good and the bad, man. Yeah. I mean, I've lived a colorful life, gone from rock and roll star to cowboy to, alcoholic to sober to married. And, oh God, I mean, it's.
You run the gamut, haven't you? Yeah, you've run the gamut.
I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy, and that's all that matters. I wasn't happy before, but I can honestly say I found peace of mind, and I hope everybody out there listening, including yourselves, can at least say, no matter how kooky everything is right now, that we got life, and that's a blessing.
It is.
We wake up above ground.
Yep.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And try to do your best and treat people good,
Exactly. And that's I can see that in you because I'm going to my podcast. I'm just a little old guy in a small town of 2,000 people. But when I put my show out, you're always one of the first people that will share it. I do like that. So I don't get much.
You could invite me to kill one of those big bucks in Indiana because I know what country you live in.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, that's a big thing around here. They actually, like some of our workplaces, they take a day off. That's one of their holidays is opening day of bow season.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
you guys are, notorious for the racks that come out of those whitetails in your country. I know all about where your neck of the woods.
Yep.
Hey, we may have to set something up, brother.
Yeah. Yep, we can do that.
You can make the call, man. I'll find a reason. I might have to take a day off on tour and grab the bow or grab the rifle, and I'll be out there, man.
We got some places.
Yeah, we'll have to see what hooks up.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, we want to thank you again.
I'm all in, man.
Yep.
I'm all in.
All right.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
God bless you both, man. Thank you for your time. And when you get this thing out, I'll share the crap out of it and we'll get it out there.
Yeah, we sure will. And to everybody out there, check out David Reece. He just said every place he's at, so check him out.
Yeah. Good luck on the album, brother.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good luck yourselves. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.